Fantastic. I think now we are joined by India finally. Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome, Professor Dr. Suresh. Long time, a couple of months ago that we shake hands in real life. It seems another camera is popping up.
Professor Suresh, there's one more camera from India that's started. Can you hear us, Suresh?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Excellent.
Fantastic. So Professor Suresh has joined from a university in India, which is based out of a city called Pune. And Pune is one of it's kind of the center parts of India, so it's kind of in the middle. Pune is very known for its universities since my childhood. It's very famous for its progressive, policies on education. So Dr. Suresh sits out of a university. He works for MIT ADT, which is a very renowned university there, and they're also one of the partners for open source science to deliver top quality open source science education. And Jeroen, they would be also using most of your courses that you're developing for Linux 1, 2, 3, 4. So Jeroen is the professor who's going to be actually, really guiding us through the Linux 1, 2, 3,
especially
4.
the Linux Advanced courses. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And it also interesting about the city of Pune is that Pune has a historical tie with the Netherlands, as Philips opened their first factory outside of the Netherlands in Pune. So,
Okay.
Yeah. And if you go to the Philips Museum in Eindhoven, you can see an entire part of the collection in the museum is all about Pune. So it's quite interesting.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I've seen
Nice.
the
That's
collection.
interesting to know.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So we are waiting for one person to join.
Are we waiting for somebody else to join? Dr. Suresh from India?
Not actually, only I have joined it.
Okay, got it. Okay. So Jeroen,
I would like to start discussing, especially where Jeroen stopped with his presentation. He already mentioned it a bit, and that's of course the growing development of artificial intelligence. And let's discuss a bit about this. First of all, I want to open the discussion with a bit of history and also, I think, a statement, and then we'll see how we can discuss about this. So first of all, when I write about AI, and I'm not specifically talking about generative AI, but specifically just about AI, and I write in social media or on publications that I've written that I did publish my first AI solution back in 2005, then sometimes people tell me that's not possible. How is that possible? Because ChatGPT invented AI only 1 or 2 years ago. So there is a general misconception in the world about how old AI is, and AI is very old. Some people even discuss that a simple if-else structure in a computer program is in fact a form of artificial intelligence. But
Okay.
So and next to that, another thing we can which I would like to put on the table is the difficulty of what is Devaki.
No problem.
Yeah.
You.
Ms. Devaki Sahasboudre, our Dean in Asia, has joined. And turned her camera off right away. So I will continue. Of course, if we talk about open source, we always talk about the 4 freedoms, right, Jeroen?
Basically, yes.
So what's now the problem with talking about open source in relation to AI?
Well, the fact that it's not only software that's involved, but also the training data that the model is trained on.
Yeah. So sometimes I know that our guests from tomorrow we have the one of the founders of Nextcloud here in the studio, and they have developed a tool for determining what is open source about an AI, and they
Okay.
So, and it's a traffic light. It has 4 colors: green, yellow, orange, red. Basically, they measure 4 different levels of openness. And like you already mentioned, it's not only about how open is the source code. That's only one of the 4 parts. And if you know the discussion about DeepSeek, DeepSeek scores only 2 positive points. The source code is open, and the result of the AI is open. That's only 2. They don't share the source data, and they do not share the weights of the algorithm. That's also excluded.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, we have whistle now.
This audio is,
That's someone who has.
and a cameraman.
So.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years there will become a sort of an open data set for the training of AI systems. An agreed upon standard of information that people use to do the basic training of an AI model.
Yeah. So we have Mistral, of course, the French open source AI. Do you use it?
Well, I'm very interested in AI developments, and so I have several models running on my server using the Oyama web UI. And Mistral is one of them. And Mistral is very good at explaining how it's thinking, which is very interesting to see, but also takes its time to do so.
And how is this going in Pune, Dr. Suresh?
Well, maybe Miss.
So something went wrong now, but Devaki entered the discussion. So Devaki, welcome. We had Dr. Suresh in the oh, he's back again. Yeah. And we have Jeroen Baten, and Jeroen is one of the fellow shareholders of Open Source Science. So, and Devaki is our dean in Asia. And so Dr. Suresh, I was asking how are things with the usage of generative AI on the MIT ADT campus in Pune?
Yeah. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
There's an audio problem. Okay.
Yeah. Am I audible now? Am I audible now?
Yeah. We hear you clearly.
Sorry, am I audible now?
You are. We can hear you.
My voice is audible to you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I am again thankful to the OS-SCi, Mr. Richard. They have given the opportunity on this forum. So basically, as all of we know that how the open source is very much important nowadays. The few things, if we say that open source software, the benefits is nothing but the source code availability easily, and license compliances, which we are facing heavily nowadays. So that we have break, and we have to do all the developments very openly. transparency in the code development, as well as all the development processes, community involvement. As many people are working on the same product, but they are working in the silos. So if they all come together, so we can feel how the technology is growing up. So that is what the important part of the open source is. And obviously the documentation part and version control, that is very much difficult whenever we go for the other softwares. But in open source, now in every sector, all the automations are happening over the older softwares, 30, 35 years, maybe they have been developed by the different companies, organizations, but now they are also switching to the open source because of the multiple version control facilities which are available in the open source software. Again, the compatibility and the standards which are easily available, right? So when we switch to the open source, at that time, very first benefit which we are getting is nothing but the cost effectiveness. So if you ask me as an MIT Editor University, what kind of benefit we are getting? So if our organization moves on the open source developments, open source implementations, or if we create an open source infrastructure in the university, then the cost which we are saving against it, that we can effectively use in other initiatives, maybe other research projects we can invest, and we can take our students as well as our Indian society to the next level. So this is what I feel a biggest benefit from the open source community. Then the customization is really available here in the open source. Then security we can handle because we are providing the cyber security and forensic courses, and that really required the open source frameworks where we can do a lot of practicals and the assignments and all the kind of research in the security areas. So this is what the basic benefits I can see whenever we are implementing that to the universities. So education values, small projects, students are now started working. We have taken courses from the OS-SCi, and they are very much a proper way they have arranged it from the scratch to the next level. Because our students are learning different programming languages, so all these open source courses are in line with this. So we are sure that we can implement it properly, and students will also enjoy the learning of the open source. And I am damn sure within maybe 5 years, next time, everywhere there will be the open source technology, open source stack only. So this is what I find, that open source is very important henceforth anywhere in the technology structure. So this is what my input on the open source software which we are implementing at the MIT Editor University.
Yeah, thank you. So I think it was an interesting discussion, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. We got 4 different perspectives from France, from Pune, India, from Berlin. I think one of the best things that's happening right now is that governments are also pushing for open source. So earlier the government stayed away and went to big techs, but today they've realized that the need for open source is stronger than ever before because of stronger GDPR compliances, other factors. We have a panel there. Devaki, our dean from India, is also there. She's on some of the empaneled persons with the government there, and she's also driving the open source initiatives within governments, in India, in Dubai. She's working with governments in Dubai for that as well, in UAE. Devaki, if you can share your experience interacting with government people and their receptiveness in India and UAE. You're on mute. If you can unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, Jeroen. I've heard all good things about you. And
thank you so much.
and yes, thanks, Richard, for asking that question. So many good things are happening in India as well. When I speak with the government, when I work very close with the IT Ministry of Karnataka. Karnataka for you, Jeroen, must be Bangalore. I'm talking about Bangalore, and that's the IT hub of India. That they call it as a Silicon Valley of India, and yeah, I work with we are doing certain good work in the IT ministry on understanding what could be the next big thing, not only in India but overall. And to my surprise, everybody was talking about open source, which is definitely a good thing because they save a lot on the license fees. They do a lot of
We've had a small network outage.
5 minutes?
We've had a small network outage. Can you put the still camera?
We are on air, but the network speed has dropped. The Jitsi lost its signal.
Everywhere. We lost we're back.
chancellor here in MIT. Yeah. And he has been very keen to start on the COE, the Center of Excellence, because yes, and they are more interested in making the Center of Excellence a revenue generation model. So that is something which we all are working towards. Richard, I, Suresh, Erik, we all are working towards that. And India, I think, is very at a very fast pace. It is going on growing on open source.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, because I'm based in Europe, um, and in Europe, a lot of companies are still using closed source software. Azure is Microsoft Azure is a really big platform for lots of companies in Europe. Amazon is also. Is that similar in India, or is there
It is.
different?
It is like that. The only thing what I can say and what I can feel the pulse of the market is things are changing towards open source. Things are changing in the right direction. For example, I was at a university in the last week, and the chancellor is promoting the students to do in-house projects in open source. For example, canteen. The entire canteen inventory can go on open source. The entire designing can go on this. So that's again a very good change. I feel that's something which is a required change, anyways, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So,
the reason I ask is because last week there was a security conference in Munich where for the last 70, 80 years in Europe there was the sentiment that, well, the US and Europe is sort of a friendship, and we are similar to each other, and we can trust each other, and we rely on each other. And with the recent government developments in the US and the message at the Munich Security Conference, which was basically you're on your own, it started sort of a new realization of Europe as a continent. Okay, how dependent are we on software and infrastructure located in the US? And it turns out that that's an immense amount of information and software.
yes,
And it also brings with it the realization of how vulnerable that makes Europe if somebody in the US would say, oh, let's switch it off today.
true.
Is that the realization also something that is happening in India, or how do you perceive your relation with in a geopolitical dimension?
So, so honestly speaking, I don't see that particular underlined thing as of now in India. Okay, they are not looking at this as a stopgap arrangement, or maybe they just want to see, try, and then take a stance. They are actually going deep into this. Now, when I say this, we are also working. Richard and Erik will also agree with me that a lot of interest has been shown by the National Forensic University. They are looking at investigation from a different angle. They are looking at how the data should not be gone. How the data should not be gone out of the system. So, how can open source make it more better, or better rather than making it more vulnerable? So these
Right.
are certain things which are definitely happening. There are quite a few IS, the Indian administration officers. They are talking more on the open source technology. They are looking at how we can secure India from a different angle, because
Right. Yeah.
when it comes to war, we have two main enemies sitting right next to each other, right? So we
I would like
need
to,
to save
sorry to
that.
interrupt.
So yeah, so we are a lot of news. In fact, I'll keep sharing with you. Maybe I'll ask Richard to introduce both of us on a mail, and I can share some articles with you as well. So that's an interesting times ahead for India for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Same here. Yeah.
I would like
Great.
to share one interesting statistics. Recently, one of my colleagues and I were looking into an operating system that started in India. It's called Bharat OS, based on a Linux flavor, and it has 300 million downloads.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's statistics, and so there is a huge push coming in. Although what's happening is that when you go and you're aware of the statistics that about 95% of internet servers are running Linux, right? But when you go to a university or a college across even Europe here, and you see how many students are serious on Linux, it's about 1% to 2%. So you have a 95% requirement in the real business world, and the education is about 1%, 2% actually focusing their efforts on that. So MIT Pune with Dr. Suresh, they've really realized this, and they are trying to bridge the gap along with the collaboration with Open Source Science. And we are now we're trying to educate also that this gap needs to reduce. It cannot be 1% and 95%, because then never we're going to have Linux engineers after 5 years or 10 years. So that's something that is also going on pretty well in India. It's quite well received by most head of universities, like the vice chancellors or the chancellors of universities. They've recognized this problem, and through this panel, I think we are talking to them on how we can improve this. So this hackathon is also based on most of the topics on the hackathon, especially the projects that's given for students. It's really based on real world scenarios. You're already aware of most of it, because you yourself have been one of the biggest contributors to some of those solutions in the past and now. So so we have about 25 to 30 topics that students can pick from range of subjects, from Ubuntu Touch and Odoo OCA modules. The Odoo OCA is also quite inspired by this hackathon, because they've seen the participation from other countries is very huge. So they're looking to capitalize in terms of members, in terms of contributors from other parts of the world as well. So this is going to be a forum to reach out to improving the Odoo community as well, in terms of size and muscle power, so and brain power in that sense. Yeah, that's about it. Erik is left for one more interview that he had parallelly, so he's left for that interview.
Okay.
What we're going to do right now is that our next session is now going to start at 1400 CET, which is in about now it's about 2 hours from now. We're going to have the next session, and that's going to be a very interesting class. It's a master class on Proxmo's virtualization, and right from the horse's mouth. So Ronald Otto is going to take us through this a beautiful presentation on Proxmo's virtualization on Linux environments. So he's going to show, how the real world is now going to work. I'm sure, Jeroen, you already worked a lot on Proxmo's, especially when I joined Weinstein. You were guiding me through some of that implementations that you did. So we're going to have Ronald Otto talk to us on that. After that, we have a very interesting masterclass at 1500, which is 3 o'clock Central European time. I think everybody from all over the world needs to convert their, time to that. It's from Peter van Vliet, and what he's going to talk is about from monolithic approach to microservices. So how the movement from a single monolithic approach of software architecture to the microservices and beyond that. So the next stage as well. So that's going to be another interesting class. And then at 1600, which is 4 o'clock evening Central European time, we are going to have Emil Broek from SUSE Linux, and he's going to talk about the subject is Perfect Storm NIS2 open source, which is going to be the first in EU. So he's going to be, that is a very innovative topic. Also, I think we would need some panel discussions on each topic, because each topic is very, very relevant to what's going to happen in the next few years. So that's today's agenda for, from this desk.
Okay.
Once again, so Suresh, if there's something you'd like to add, or Jeroen?
Yeah. So we are emphasizing more on the Center of Excellence at MIT University on the open source, and the long-term goal for this Center of Excellence is to make it actually excellence in the in open source operating system and the software. This should not be a common laboratories which we have in the academics. This laboratory, moreover, will generate the revenue from it, or it may be moreover focus on the consultancy and big research projects. So that is what the long-term goal we have kept for the Center of Excellence. So we are working around that. We are making our students and few faculties ready for it, so that we can properly call this as a Center of Excellence of the open source. So that is what we are very positively looking for it. We have expedited that activity already at our university.
Fantastic. That's
Yeah.
really good news for me.
We're waiting for Erik to come and inaugurate.
So we are waiting Erik to come and inaugurate that Center of Excellence.
Sure. I think, I think we're really looking forward for that. Erik has just stepped out of the room for an interview that kind of happened parallelly, so he just stepped out. So he's going to be back, and I'll convey your message to Erik.
Yeah.
We're looking forward for that as well. Thank you.
Yes.
Jeroen, your closing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a very interesting event to watch and unfold. To see all those different countries interested together in the subject of open source and exchanging information. And I am very, very proud to be part of this initiative. So thank you so much to all other participants. And I wish you all the best and all the good luck there is.
The best part is we have Joost Poortvliet, the founder of Nextcloud, who's going to join us tomorrow. We have the founder of NitroKey joining us today. So it's a busy studio here with, people want to participate, and all these are big projects running very successfully since the last couple of years. Nextcloud, NitroKey, they have its own excellence in the open source philosophy and what they're doing to transform businesses across the world. So and we're very happy that these guests are going to join us live here in the studio here, so at Berlin. So the next class in 2 hours. So 2 hours we take a break for lunch, for dinner, tea, whichever part of the world you are in. So you take a break and join us back at 1400. We'll be live then. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Bye-bye.